Over the last few years, I read more than 40 books on money. The classics, the mindset ones, the heavy investing ones, basically the whole shelf. And here's the strange part. A few of them said the exact opposite of each other. Some of what I read went against everything I thought was true about getting rich. So, in this video, I'm giving you the honest version. The lessons that actually move the needle, and the ones that quietly waste your time. I'm not going to pretend every book was gold. Some changed how I think about money completely. Others were 300 pages to say one thing. So instead of reviewing all 40, I've pulled out the ideas that kept showing up. The patterns that almost every good money book agrees on, even when they argue about everything else. We'll start with the foundations, move into mindset, then into investing, and finish with the one thing almost none of them tell you. Let's start with the most famous one, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a classic for a reason. It teaches the things school never does. The whole book is built around two father figures. One says, get a safe job, take the traditional path, retire on a pension. The other built a business and bought things that paid him. And that's where it introduces the single most important idea in personal finance. Assets versus liabilities. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket, investments, a business, something that earns while you sleep. A liability is anything that takes money out and quietly loses value over time. Here's the part that surprised most people. It argues your home isn't the asset you think it is. When you treat your house as your main investment, you tend to buy more house than you need, and your money gets locked into monthly payments instead of working for you somewhere else. The mindset to take from this book is simple but powerful. Treat every dollar like an employee whose only job is to go out and earn more. Money you spend today is money that can't work for you tomorrow. The same author wrote a follow-up that's worth knowing, the Cashflow Quadrant. Most people believe a stable job is the only realistic path to security. This book quietly takes that apart. It splits how people earn money into 4 boxes. You can be an employee, working a job. You can be self-employed, a freelancer, a one-person business, where you are the business. You can be a business owner, where systems and people work for you. Or you can be an investor, where your money works for you. The uncomfortable point it makes. Relying only on a job might be the riskiest option of all, because your income stops the moment you do. It won't hand you a step-by-step plan, but it cracks open how many ways there actually are to earn. And once you see it, it's hard to unsee. If the last book opens your mind, this next one hands you the tools. Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Work Week. I'll be honest, the title made me skeptical. It sounds too good to be true. But the book isn't really about working less, it's about working smarter. The core idea is to build something, automate the parts that don't need you, and then collect the income, so you can live a version of the life most people postpone until they're 65. What it really does is take something that feels impossibly far away and show you the mechanics underneath it. The freedom isn't magic, it's design. Pair it with the Cashflow Quadrant and you've got both halves. One shows you the possibilities, the other shows you how to actually build one. Next, the Millionaire Fastlane. This one has a line you almost never hear. There's no such thing as get rich easy, but there is such a thing as get rich quick. It describes 3 financial paths. The first is the sidewalk, spending more than you earn, on repeat, stuck paycheck to paycheck, no matter how much comes in. The second is the slow lane, good grades, good job, save a slice every month, invest it, retire in your 60s. It's safe, but you're trading decades of your time for it. The third is the fast lane, using your time to build something that earns long after the work is done, a product, a system, something that keeps paying. Now, get rich quick sounds like a scam, but here's what I respect about the book. It's blunt that the fast lane still takes enormous hustle, discipline, and years of work. What looks like getting rich quickly is almost always years of effort and learning, finally compounding all at once. Now, the one people either love or hate, with almost no middle ground, Think and Grow Rich. Some readers call it pure fluff. They wanted a roadmap and got philosophy. Others say it completely rewired how they think about money. Here's my honest take. Mindset genuinely matters. If you move through life believing money is scarce and hard to come by, that belief quietly shapes your choices, and you tend to get exactly that. Believe you're capable of building wealth, and your actions start to line up behind it. But mindset alone gets you nowhere. You can have the most positive, abundant mindset on earth, and if you never take action, nothing changes. It's like owning the best tools in the world and never building anything. You need both, the right mindset and consistent, focused action. If you're open to examining your beliefs about money, read it. If you want a literal step-by-step plan, skip it and reach for the investing books instead. Which brings us to the psychology of money. For me, one of the most important on the list. The whole premise is that money is as much about psychology as it is about maths. How you feel about money, your past experiences with it, the fear and the impulses, those often overpower whatever financial knowledge you actually have. But here's the idea that stuck with me most: how badly we misjudge the role of luck. Most of us try to learn from the most extreme success stories, the billionaires, the outliers. The problem is, the more exceptional the story, the more likely luck played a huge role, and the fewer lessons you can safely copy from it. So the book's advice is simple and brilliant. Pay attention to patterns, not people. If one person did something unusual and got rich, that's probably luck. If 10 ordinary people did the same boring thing and all built wealth, that boring thing is your signal. That's the part you can actually repeat. Before we get into the investing books, one idea is worth keeping in mind. The distance between where you are now and where you want to be financially is often smaller than it looks. A lot of it isn't talent or luck. It's simply things you haven't learned yet. So instead of thinking, I can't do this, it can be more useful to think, I don't understand this yet. The trap for beginners is the opposite though. We tend to think we understand investing far better than we do. We feel ready to make big decisions before we've built the foundation. That early, fragile confidence is exactly what gets people burned. So let's build the foundation properly. First, the one Warren Buffett read at 19 and still calls the best investing book ever written, The Intelligent Investor. Its principles are genuinely timeless, and the most reassuring lesson is this: long-term investing doesn't require being a genius or having secret insight. It needs two things. 1. A rational framework for making decisions. 2. Not letting your emotions override that framework when the market gets scary. That's it. Most investing mistakes aren't knowledge problems, they're emotional ones. This book teaches you how the market behaves, and more importantly, how to keep your own head steady inside it. If The Intelligent Investor feels heavy for a complete beginner, and it can, start lighter with Girls That Invest. Despite the name, it's a great first investing book for anyone. It explains why you should invest, the basic terminology that usually scares people off, and how to figure out your own investing style and build a portfolio that fits it. Think of it as the on-ramp and The Intelligent Investor as the highway. Next, The Little Book of Common Sense Investing by John Bogle, the man who founded Vanguard and invented the index fund. So naturally, his argument is simple. For most beginners, the winning move is to buy index funds and hold them, basically forever. He walks through why index funds tend to beat the fancier alternatives and how to think about splitting between stocks and bonds as you age. My one caveat: parts of it feel a little conservative and dated now, but the core lesson, that boring, low-cost, long-term investing quietly beats most clever strategies, then two that pair nicely, One Up on Wall Street and the Dandaho Investor. They share a great idea that some of the best investments are hiding in plain sight, in the products and companies you already use every day. And because of that, ordinary people sometimes spot things before Wall Street does. Here's how that looks in practice. Imagine you start using a product you genuinely love, and you notice everyone around you loves it too. You look up the company, find it's publicly traded, and start reading its reports. That everyday observation can be the start of a real investing idea. But it's only the start. Noticing a good product is not the same as making a good investment. It still takes real research before a single pound goes in. The edge is real, the shortcut isn't. Now, the thread running through every single one of these books, and through all honest money advice, is the same. There are no shortcuts. Getting rich takes discipline, patience, and the ability to control your emotions when money is on the line. But here's what I noticed almost none of the money-focused books say out loud. Investing in the market is a long, slow game. It works, but it works over decades. What pays off far faster, especially early on, is investing in yourself. Your ability to manage money and your ability to earn more of it through skills, a business, a side income. The stock market might double your money over many years. A new skill or a small business can change your income this year. The market matters, but in the short term, your earning power is the real lever, and it's the one most books quietly skip. So if you take one thing from 40 books, take this. The boring, repeatable patterns are where the money is. Build the right mindset, then back it with consistent action. Invest in yourself first, then let the slow game of the market compound behind you. If this gave you a clearer picture of money than school ever did, subscribe to Ben on Budget. That's exactly what this channel is for. Calm, honest money education, one idea at a time. I'm Ben. Take your time. We're in no rush here.